Get a lot of calls from clients who said that their tax returns get rejected electronically. Why is that?
One of the reasons could be Form 1095A. If they had their health care through the marketplace and the A is not entered into their return, the 1095A actually has numbers on them that have to be entered into your return. The IRS takes those numbers and they determine if you had enough premium during the year, or you paid too much, or you had too little, and you then owe more on your return, or you actually increase your refund.
So that's good, because when you apply for insurance, they ask you about your income. But if you underestimate your income, you will be paying additional premium on your tax return, and vice versa. They're going to overcharge you because you said they're going to make 200,000, then you end up making 120,000. Then the premium will be less. Thank you, Nelson.
The IRS just issued 20,000 rejection letters for ERC credits, okay? These are for businesses that filed claims. That means you're not getting the credit. If you got that, you need to decide, are you going to pursue it, or are you going to go back and amend, because it will affect how your tax returns, your business tax returns are, and it could cause lots of penalties and interest and additional tax due. So be on the lookout for the ERC rejection letters.
The IRS, they can collect from you for 10 years. However, if you file your tax return late and it's more than 3 years, you will not be getting that refund, because the IRS will not issue a refund for any money that they owe you for 3 years or more, or if it is more than 2 years from the day you paid the tax.
When I tell you this is some bullshit, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit. This is some bullshit.
The IRS is currently flagging thousands of returns for one specific reason, a missing Form 8962. If you had marketplace health insurance and you ignore your 1095A, your return is dead on arrival. The ABA technicality, but here is the forensic detail that your old bean counter is likely missing. Under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the repayment caps for the premium tax credit have been eliminated for the 2026 tax year. In the past, if you earned more than your estimated, your repayment was capped at a few hundred or a few $1,000s. In 2026, those guardrails are now gone. You are now liable for every single dollar of excess credit you received.
1095A rejections. Why? Advanced premium tax credits. That's why. This advanced premium tax credit is given to you throughout the year towards your premium for insurance. When you sign up with the healthcare marketplace and you put your income in, they determine how much of that credit you received based on your income. And since you're getting that credit in advance when you file your tax return, you have to reconcile. It's time to see if you receive too much, not enough, or the right amount of that credit. And you do it with your tax return because now you have the actual amount of the income that you earned for 2024. If you read through all that information that you receive, it tells you you're required to file this form. This is the reason your return is being rejected, because this form is not included with your tax return. And you need the 1095A in order to complete this form. This is Form 8962, Premium Tax Credit. Now, because we're trying to determine if you receive too much, not enough, or the correct amount of this credit, you got to know it affects your refund. Yeah, because if you receive too much, then you're going to have to repay the excess. If you receive the right amount, then it's not going to have any effect at all. And if you didn't receive enough, it could increase your refund. I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, make sure you get all your documents. I don't know why y'all rushing. You hurry it up the wait. If you have marketplace insurance, Affordable Care Act insurance, Obama insurance, yes, you have to have that form. And if you try to mail it in without that form, guess what? Now you're gonna hurry up and wait again, because they're gonna send you a letter and say, hey, we need that form.
I was so pressed to do my taxes just to find out that I ain't getting shit back. I don't even have enough to pay my damn tax lady. My response all year to anybody asking me anything is about to be, I owe taxes, I can't go nowhere. Mom, can we go to spring break? Baby, I owe taxes, my spring break is canceled. What you doing for your birthday? I owe taxes, my birthday canceled. We go to the movies? Movies is canceled. Everything is canceled, okay? Oh, and I owe a good bit. That's why they be saying When you make more, you need to readjust your taxes on your federal. How much they take out your money. Gone are the days when I used to get a little bit of change. Damn. I'm gonna have to really do something strange for a little bit of change. I might have to sign up to be a midnight ballerina. I hope somebody will take me with this body. I want to go have fun for 2026.
Want to know why it's showing still processing on the IRS website for your tax refund? Filed months ago, still nothing. Call, still nothing. Here are 4 reasons why. Is there a number on line 30 of your 1040? Well, that means you claimed the recovery rebate credit, meaning you didn't get all your stimulus money during the year and you claimed it on your tax return. If that's so, you may actually be under a manual review by the IRS, and that's why you haven't received your refund yet. Reason number 2, line 27 and line 28 show a number, and next to that number it says PY, EIC, or CTC. That means you used last year's income to calculate earned income credit or child tax credit. That's also a manual review, probably another reason why your refund's being held up. Do you owe money to the IRS, back taxes, child support? That offset indicator actually might delay your refund, and that's probably why you haven't received your money yet. Did you file before March 11th of 2020? If so, the IRS is manually going back and figuring out how to remove the unemployment from the taxable part of your income so you can receive additional money. That could be another reason your refund's being held up. In any case, your refund's being held at the IRS. You are not alone. Normally it takes 16 to 20 weeks in cases like this, so hopefully you get your money soon. I'm praying for you.
They're saying that they're getting their deposits today, and if you have your IRS transcript at 846 and your deposit hasn't come yet, do me a favor and comment below and tell me your bank so I could tell you for reference who's already gotten theirs and when they got it and what bank, why, etc. Because of there is some information coming out about people getting the refunds held. So if you have a date, you go down, scroll down to 846, the code at the bottom, and you have a date and it is for the 25th or earlier and you still haven't received it, you could have another cycle code that's coming out for people that are getting their refunds held. And I know that sucks, so I want to help you guys out if I can and direct you on what to do. So if you have a 846 cycle code and a date of the 25th or earlier, let me know. Okay, so a lot of people are saying that they're getting their deposits today, and if you have your IRS transcript at 846 and your deposit hasn't come yet, do me a favor and comment below and tell me your bank so I could tell you for reference who's already gotten theirs and when they got it and what bank, why, etc. Because of
This video is for people who prepare their own returns. If your tax return gets rejected from the IRS, this might be the reason. It could have been rejected because Form 8962 was not included on your return. Form 8962 is the tax return reconciliation of your monthly premiums from your healthcare from the marketplace. You reconcile your monthly premiums by entering Form 1095A into your tax return. So if you do have marketplace health insurance, don't forget to enter 1095A into your return. So follow us for more tax tips.
Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. The IRS is rejecting a ton of returns. Yes, a massive amount of returns. This has been the talk of the town in the tax preparer circles. Let me fill you in on exactly what's going on. So each year before the IRS actually opens their main center to start taking everything in mass, they do what's called hub testing. Prior, generally, these particular tests are a little smaller tests where they pull a few returns, kind of check the systems, make sure everything is cool, which you would want to do before you do many hundreds of millions of returns. Well, this year there were slight changes, which I have talked to you all about. If you've been in my lives, you've heard me talk about that there were going to be less tests, but bigger tests. So fewer tests that were pulling more returns based on what they were trying to get accomplished. Well, what has happened, the talk of the town in the tax preparer circles or in tax professional circles over the last few days has been a massive amount of rejections. I've talked to a number of preparers and looked at a number of returns, and the common theme here seems to be the 1095A. 1095A being the form that you receive from Obamacare, Affordable Care, Marketplace, whatever you want to call it, returns being pushed through without that form. If your client actually had Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, for even 10 minutes, 1 month, and they had that purchase through the system, they're going to get a 1095A in that particular form. If they receive the credit, you have to put it in there or the IRS is going to reject it. Now, that was a big portion, probably a majority of the rejections that I saw, preparers who actually entered their client's information without that form. But the bigger thing that stood out to me, and y'all have heard me talk about this is really big, pay attention right here, is that I verified 2 clients who actually pushed through returns, had returns pushed through, and they were rejected because the IRS stated that they had a return already in place. That is big. That is huge. That is something I've talked to you all about this year, that getting things in fast was going to really be to your advantage. In this particular case, there were no other individuals that taxpayer knew that could have filed on their behalf. So it appears that someone on the outside, aka a hacker or something, had pushed their information through. It got pulled in the hub, which is it's not kind of like a lightning strike. It got pulled in the hub, and then just by chance, the other individual got pulled in the hub too at some later point. So the hub testing at some later point. So that is a really big development and something I have been telling people this whole time that would happen. Yes, if it's going to be to your advantage to get things early this year. And again, I saw 2 verified cases, but that I personally verified that this happened to.
So a very common thing that happens is I'll get a new client, single individual claiming the kid they've always claimed, as they tell us in the interview process. We submit the tax return and then it gets rejected.
So we send their tax return, comes back
rejected. IRS code for the dependent was already claimed on another tax return for the same tax year.
Got it.
Now, IRS will never let you know who claimed the child. All they're just letting you know is that child's been claimed.
Got it.
So we talked to the taxpayer is saying, well, no one else should have claimed them. I've always claimed the kid. I just got full custody of the kid. All these reasonings. And most of the time it's the other parent.
The other parent's claiming
the other kid. And the first question they ask, they shouldn't be allowed to. I have court custody. I've always claimed them. Why would the IRS allow this?
They have court custody. The kids live with them. They have all the documentation. They have everything.
Now that you're out of my life, I'm so much better. You thought that I'd be weak without you, but I'm stronger. You thought that I'd be broke without you, but I'm richer. Thought that I'd be sad without you. I laugh hard.
My return was rejected, and so I wanted to show people what I had to do to figure out what the rejection issue was. Because it doesn't look like it would be really intuitive for people who aren't, say, digital or computer literate. If you didn't bookmark or you don't remember the website where you actually filled out the form, I recommend going back to the IRS website and finding this page that shows you either the free tax prepared or the free form. And then from here, you can click the links and go to the form. If you make more than $73,000, this is the form you're going to use. So you'll log into the website and you'll start that here. And then you go over here and sign in. Once you're logged in, you're going to click on the step 3 e-file status and it'll take you to this page. And as you can see, it says rejected. Well, this is the error message and that means absolutely nothing to me. So now I want to go back in my inbox to see if I got any emails about my return being rejected and what I need to do. I did get an email rejection, and had I not been looking for this very specific email, I probably would have deleted this because it looks like a phishing scam. But it, in fact, is the real email from the free file fillable form that I need to use to resolve my issue. And the first thing I have to do is click this link to go to the FAQ, I guess, or error search tool to find out what my error means. The reason that email is important is because you have to put the entire text of the rejection email into the search box for it to tell you what your error is. So I've copied the entire text of the search box, and I'm going to hit search errors, and I'm going to hit paste and scroll to search. And it says that I incorrectly entered my address information on one of my W-2 forms. It does not say which form, and so now I need to go back to the forms that I submitted and figure out which one may be incorrect. I hope that is helpful to everyone. This is the first time I have ever used anything other than TurboTax. And if it's this complicated, and I'm someone who I consider pretty, technologically a computer literate, I can't imagine what it must be like for someone who doesn't have access to their own laptop, doesn't have access to their own internet, or is not as good with computers as I am.
We got breaking news. 13 million Americans who are waiting on their tax refunds have now had those refunds suspended. This is causing many Americans to wait 3 to 4 months instead of the usual 3 weeks it takes for the IRS to get you back your refund. Now I'm about to share with you exactly what you can do, but many Americans are getting flagged if they claimed their earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, or if they had any discrepancies from their tax return last year compared to this year. You go to the irs.gov website, you're going to be able to pull your tax transcript, and it's on this page that you want to look for 2 codes. Tax code 971 and tax code 570. If you see one of these codes, then the IRS mailed you a letter for additional information, and you need to get them that information as soon as possible. If you have to wait more than 9 weeks, then just file Form 911 with the Taxpayer Advocate Agency. IRS has reduced their staff by 27% this year, so things are a little bit slower than normal, but let me know in the comment section. Have you received your tax refund or not? And send this to someone who hasn't.
Hey y'all, so let's go over a few things because I've been getting a lot of tax returns that have been rejected due to the dependent already being claimed, whether it was the baby daddy, the baby mama, a cousin, a relative, or even if the identity has been stolen. Okay, we don't really know the reason, but we have been getting rejected returns due to that. Okay, so when this happens, you'd have to mail in the return. You are no longer able to e-file the return. You would have to mail it into the IRS. They will notice that this dependent has been claimed by more than one person, and that's when their investigation is going to begin. They're going to want to see, well, first off, you're both going to receive letters in the mail stating we need you to verify some information. Okay, they're going to want to see medical records, school records, dental records, receipts, anything that shows and proves that you are eligible to claim that dependent on your tax return. Okay, and then they will make the final decision on who is able to claim that dependent. Okay, so to keep this from happening next year, or when we file 2025 taxes next year in 2026. So you need to go to irs.gov/IPPIN and request for your child or your dependent to receive an IP PIN that is an identity protection PIN. This keeps the PIN, the social, from being used on any tax return without that 6-digit code. Okay? They can't file anything under that social. If you need one for yourself, go ahead and request one now as well. Okay, every year you're going to have to request a new PIN to be included on your tax return on your tax return that'll be attached to that social. If not, the return is going to be rejected. So make sure if you request a PIN that you include that PIN when you file the tax return. Okay, but I mean, at this point, there's really nothing that we could do other than let the IRS take their course. And they're just going to investigate. So make sure you have your ducks in a row by having all of your documents to prove that you are able to claim that child or that dependent. School records, medical records, any receipts, school activities, sports that you paid for, maybe after school care or daycare that you paid for. They want to see it all. Okay, they want to see it all because they need to thoroughly investigate and thoroughly determine who qualifies to claim that child on the return. All right, again, irs.gov/IPPIN. You as the adult can apply for a PIN for yourself, and it will also give you the instructions on how to file one for your dependent or your child. I don't think you can request it online for the child. You have to do it by mail. But go ahead and get that done so you won't come across this issue again, because we all know this is the time where there is a lot of fraud going on. I had a client last year who didn't file for the past 4 years. So when I went in and submitted her last 4-year tax returns, they all came back as already having a return filed. And guess what? She didn't file them. Somebody else had used her identity and filed 4 previous year tax returns. Okay, and now we had to mail all 4 in, which takes a longer time to process those returns, meaning a long time for her to get her money back if she was having a refund. Okay, unfortunately, it's going to prolong that, and there's really nothing that we can do but protect ourselves. Let's be proactive and go ahead, irs.gov/IPPIN. And go ahead and register for a PIN number for yourself. Follow the instructions on how to request one for your child or your dependent, so we won't keep having this issue. Because fraud is real and it is out there. All right? Have a good one, y'all.